How should Christians live on earth to satisfy God between the commandments of God and the laws of the world? Do you find living in this society challenging? What actions did the devil take to sever your holy bond with God? Our Lady will address the current state of the globe in today's video through a message to Luz de Maria. Please pay close attention, and may God grant you the wisdom to understand His Word properly. The message starts, because people do not know my Son, they are currently creating a tremendous deal of confusion, because they do not know what the truth is or which direction to walk. They have committed themselves to living mediocre lives that lack of depth and logic. Sadly, a sizable portion only identify as Christians because of tradition. Due to my children's ignorance of the divine work and action, this scourges my Son and crowns him with thorns. For this reason, because they lack insight and do not delve deeply into events, my Son's people are being led like submissive lambs in the face of every circumstance. They think they love my Son, but everything they hold dear vanishes like the sea's waves in an instant, because they don't truly love my Son. They do not seek for knowledge. They do not explore beyond what their eyes can see. They are eventually just people who practice fake religion. The most sacred heart of my Son is wounded by this. They don't truly and genuinely love Him. Being a lukewarm people, they lack discernment and are easily perplexed while being aware of how evil is spreading and seeking to engulf all of humanity and ruin your bodies. I want to know, what happens when the beast's seal is suggested as a way to travel on earth? Who will be my Son's devoted follower? Will there be any faithful on earth for my Son? My precious children of my immaculate heart, my Son's face portrays the sorrow he is destined to experience, the pain of betrayal and the pain of human wrath during his agonizing farewell. This depressing fact has reoccurred throughout the history of the salvation. Priestly ordination was established by the God-man. Even though he is betrayed, the God-man dictates himself before leaving to carry out the Father's will. He feeds you with his body and blood out of love for you, even though he knows that modernism and notions will keep you from this divine food. O humanity, who fails to recognize, feel, or comprehend the immorality of the person intruding on my Son's territory when they are in your midst. The redemption of my Son will become a religion for everyone, one without the sustenance of the Eucharist, without a mother, and without rules. One rule, one order, and one religion will exist. Who will be permitted to purchase and sell? Those who will submit to the Antichrist's seal, despite having lost their souls. Jesus underlined his remarks against deceit. Jesus spoke of the final days, and the depth of deception in our day serves as a reminder of that. According to the Bible, the Great Tribulation would start after the sons were eventually detained. The Antichrist will establish himself as the center of human civilization and demand adoration. He will think so highly of himself that he will be regarded as a god on earth. Given the mark's economic importance, it would be quite impossible for someone to refuse to accept it. The seal will replace all other methods of conducting financial transactions as being legitimate. Revelation chapter 13 verses 16 and 17 says, "Also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast, or the number of its name." Would you ever consent to having anything placed in your brain or your hand so you could avoid using a credit card, never lose your password, or lose your identity? It may be said that now is the time when many people are really afraid about the future. The possibility of nuclear war has once more arrived. Both terrorism and mass shootings exist. Experts believe that our current economic problems and the effects of climate change may lead to world hunger. Millions of Christians are certain that will happen very soon. This is because so many Bible prophecies have just come true. Only God has access to the future, which He has revealed to us in the Bible. But how can we know that these are the days in which the beast's mark will appear? Jerusalem is the reason. In Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3, "On that day I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who lift it will surely hurt themselves, and all the nations of the earth will gather against it." For Christian, being concerned in worldly affairs is not a sin. The believer is just carrying out the duties that all people living on the planet, whether or not they identify as Christians, must carry out. But we must choose to follow Christ's will and abstain from sin. The outsiders, on the other hand, do not follow God's instructions. Our lives are simultaneously worldly and Christian. In every situation where we must face difficulties on earth, we live as Christians. We also live as worldly people who must obey laws, community regulations, and national rules. Christians, in other words, do not prioritize worldly possessions. Jesus did not want to remove these things, which are still governed by this world. Christ does not ask us to abandon our civic responsibilities or to try to stay away from governmental power physically. Instead, He wants us to demonstrate and make use of the governing structures and mechanisms that keep society stable. However, internally and spiritually, Christ is in charge of how we live. The kingdom of God has nothing to do with, nor does it interfere with, the government agency. Please accept this fact. Therefore, as children of God and as individuals, we should not try to fight against the enemy on our own. On the other hand, as responsible citizens in society, we should do our best to resist evil within our ability. And that is the end of this video. I hope that these words will be successfully delivered to you by God's guidance. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest videos coming up in the future. Thank you, and see you next time. God bless you.